We can be alone in the castle in the sky. We can run away and leave this world behind. Please just take me home to a castle in the sky. A castle in the sky.
What's up, y'all? What's up? What's cracking, lagging? What's going on? This is an impromptu stream. Joe contacted me. I usually schedule the streams at you know what I'm saying, but I like to start them 5 minutes early. Get everybody to get in here. How's everybody doing, Joe? How you been doing?
Hey man, what's going on? What's going on? I'm good, dude.
Nothing much, nothing much. Just gotta get that uh get that elevator music going.
Oh yeah, man. That was some good music too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Get a little elevator music. It's actually a channel on YouTube, royalty free vlog music. So you ain't got to get hit with the royalty plugs.
Mm.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I'm going to talk about how challenging the environment shapes men.
Oh man.
A lot of people are afraid to get out there and do what they're supposed to do and get it cracking lacking. Let me
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
do some
It's
sharing.
that it's that challenge of the environment that gives you that edge that makes life actually worth living, enjoyable, and survivable.
Yeah,
Uh, and it makes you, I mean, honestly, man without challenge is basically a waste of space, in my opinion.
yeah.
Because without that challenge, I'm gonna go deep in it later, but without that challenge, it's just you end up being scared of everything because you gotta face some kind of fear in order for you to gain some kind of scar, whether it's a mental scar, a physical scar. And that scar that's going to really build you
Mm-hmm.
is a scar that's never going to heal.
Yeah.
And when you get that scar, you'll know because you're always going to feel it, and it's always going to be a reminder of something to do or something not to do, which got you that scar in the first place. And
Mm-hmm.
there's tons of mental scars or tons of physical scars or tons of scars in general, but whatever that scar is for you as a man, it is very necessary, and especially in this day and age, crucial that you allow life, and that you be vulnerable and humble enough to allow life to punch you in the face a few times.
Yeah.
Um, because when you are scared to allow, it's like a video game, man. Like you like punch you, life reveals a weakness in you. You can either learn from it or run from it, and if you choose to learn from it, it will actually release secrets about you and about the situation, about human psychology, or about life itself, that would not have been unlocked unless you went through that situation.
Yeah.
um and yeah, but yeah, man, what are some of your, I guess, experiences or challenges that really fundamentally shaped you into being the man that you are today? And if you're in the comments, just comment, your experiences too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like what have been some of your challenges that have really built you into the man you are?
I think because you go from I think it's a couple of phases. Coming from the area I came from, dealing with the stuff that I had to deal with. This the environment, it wasn't conducive to anything. Not having your parents, being, poor, broke, whatever,
Right,
and just everyday survival of making what would they call making life changing decisions. I mean, you got to make this $20 stretch to the end of the week, right?
right,
Um, but that's just survival, right? Just the basic necessities: food, clothing, and shelter. Um, but it was when you get past that point, and when you get past that point, for me, is like when I was in the military and stuff like that. Um, that was a challenge
mm,
because you know you can't quit that, right?
right,
You can get kicked out, but that I mean, to show that you failed. But just preparing yourself and your mentality, because it's a lot different. That you can't you can't do rugged individualism, right? You can
right,
do your job the best of your ability. You can supersede everybody, but if the whole unit doesn't work
right,
in tandem, you know,
mm,
um, everybody fails at the end of the day. And
right,
and I think the first challenge was the first time that we on the ship and it left port, right? And you realize that you have to do whatever you have to do to get back safe, right? You're working in a place, because I was an engineer and it's dangerous, right? So
right,
just imagine going to sleep and you're sleeping, and on the other side of a 10-inch wall, right? A 10-inch steel wall is like 45,000 gallons of flammable jet fuel,
mm,
right? And you got to sleep with that, right? And then on the other side, you got you got old tanks, and you got gas that can kill you. You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta learn to be a firefighter, right? Because the fire department's not gonna roll up out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean to put out your fire, right? And it's not like a regular, what they would say, an alpha fire, just like furniture burning. It's petroleum products burning, right? So that was the challenge, getting qualified, watching equipment. I'm like, you're in charge of millions of dollars of equipment, and your job is to make electricity, make water, propulsion. You're dealing with 600 pounds of pressure of steam at 900 degrees, right? You,
mm,
you're sitting in a space that is like 105, and you got to be down there for like 5 to 6 hours. So that right there, that was like a challenge, and probably by like 6 months to a year in, it no longer became a challenge. It became a norm. And then you want to challenge yourself for more. You want to step up, where now you're over. a watch team, right? You're over 5 individuals, and when people are sleeping, you're in charge of keeping 300 other people safe.
Right.
And you're out there for a mission to fight to keep, the country where you come from safe. Long way from Baltimore, just out there in the middle of the ocean. So that was, my challenge of the environment. There's a lot of things I didn't, I could have, if I like hindsight 2020, if I could have done this a little better, that a little better, things of that nature. But it was a experience, and I think all men, you don't have to go to that extreme of how I went, and that's being like a 18-year-old, right? 18, 19-year-old. But
Right.
Just getting out there and staying locked and focused on the environment. You know what I mean? Just I want to be this, but there's steps that I need to take. And even if I fail, it's just getting up again and doing the process until you succeed.
True. Right, especially like the last part, man. It's when you start something, then you don't succeed at first. I mean, you might be able to cheat the system. You might be able to start something, you might not like it, and then you give up on it, and then you feel good because it's not your responsibility
Yeah.
to finish it. I mean, it is, but at the end of the day, the blame is not going to fall on you. It's going to fall more on the company or the bigger picture. Whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the older you get, the more you realize that finishing shit up is extremely important, not just for the look that you finished it, but for your own self-dignity. Because they say the way you do one thing is probably the way you do most things in life. And when you screw up on one thing, that translates in your subconscious mind that you do everything, because everything you do is recorded, and your subconscious mind just works on behavior, and people don't realize that you're 90% subconscious, so you're basically working on the past behavior that you allowed yourself to do. But anyway, that comes with discipline, and discipline comes from having a goal, and having a goal comes from actually having some kind of meaning. And a man without meaning is a man. Like you see it today, like so many men in the West are committing suicide because we're living in a world where the world's already built. The Western world's already completed. It's done. Like you have unless you're in the world of technology, the Western world's already done. It's finished. It's completed. There's really nothing else left. It's not struggling anymore. And back in the day, a man's purpose was strictly to survive. That's why it was never boring back in the day. It was life or death. And because that was your goal, that was a man's drive to protect himself and his woman and his children, that was his whole purpose, was strictly to live.
Exactly.
Man is living in an easy world where you don't have to grow your own food. You don't have to tame a horse for years to get it to like you and trust you so that you can go to a place faster. You don't have to do all this stuff, which takes patience, discipline, time, and skill. When everything's delivered to you, when everything comes easy, a man gets really, really messed up psychologically, because now, where is our purpose? Where do we fit? We don't even really have to provide for women anymore. They're working on their own. So where do we fit?
Yeah,
So now we have to be a lot more imaginative in our goals. And we have to be a lot more disciplined now, because there really isn't that community culture anymore where you have older men, older women watching after you. It's really it's like we're going back in a cycle where it's back to the dog eat dog world.
Yeah,
yeah.
What I say is like I can see the transition because I'm like I'm a year away from 40. So being in a year I'll be 40, so I'm like 10 years shy of half a century, right?
Yeah.
And just for what I've seen and understanding certain things, it's what I say about this newer generation, the Z generation, is that the participation trophies is very much a detriment to men.
Oh God,
Yeah,
they are the curse of any generation, man.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because like it was that step, right? It was you competition, that's what that's what trained men to be competitive, in a positive way,
Right.
so if you enter into a contest now, right, like even as a kid, when I was a young kid, right, you
Mm.
enter into contests and there was first place, second place, and third place, and it was just all right, what I'm saying, that's the end of it. Now just because you participate, they got like, I remember when I was young, and they had this competition for something, and you would sit there and you would see the trophies, right?
Mm.
And the trophies would sit there, right? And it weren't that many.
Right.
It
Right.
it was the MVP award. It was like the first place, it was the second place, it was the third place. It was like, the honorable mention and something like that, but that's where it stopped. Now, if you go to any of these things like from elementary almost to high school, you see a whole table full of trophies. And everybody that participates is getting a damn trophy, right? And and the only thing, yeah, you got to read the actual trophy, right, to
Mm.
actually see where whoever won placed, right? Before you could tell, right? The tallest trophy was first place. The second trophy was, like the kind of like mid height was the second place, and the smaller trophy was third place. You already knew what it was.
Right.
You didn't have to, and that's why I say is this is a detriment to men because there's no participation is what you're supposed to do, right? You don't get
Right.
trophies and you don't get accolades for things you're supposed to do, right? I go to work, I pay my bills. Okay, cool, yeah. Because if you didn't go to work, you wouldn't have no money. You'll be homeless and you wouldn't eat, and that's where it goes, right? As a man,
Exactly.
like they always say, women and children first, and then the elderly. But for the women and the children and the elderly to get out of harm's way, there have to be men to secure the way of escape, right? Um, and this is what the problem is, and this is where we're at. And a lot of a lot of the reasons why our society is like it is for men is because it's not women that are putting this in place. It's actually men that are making these policies to put
Right.
things in
Right.
place, right? So it's actually men destroying the environment and stuff like that.
That's a
What's up,
good point right
man? If you want to come up here and say a few words, bro,
there.
you know what I'm saying? I'll drop you the link in the
Jay Sean was good.
you know what I'm saying?
Um,
'Cause-
nah, but what was it? Yeah, you said what was I gonna say? You said something like on point. Yeah, but anyway, like eighth place trophies, I feel that's why I was gonna say you said something about men making the rules, and
yeah,
that's very true because because what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of these laws that benefit both men and women were made by men. And for example, the the law that men cannot hit women. Now, by nature, we really ain't trying to hit y'all because we're trying to protect you.
yeah,
So we view women as on the level, I wouldn't say as children, but as weaker physically than us.
mm-hmm.
And we men made laws so that men cannot hit women because men know how men are. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
And yeah, so that's why I just don't get I mean, the whole equality thing on that. Like, we made that rule for you guys because we know how we are. Because when we get to a certain point, we ain't stopping.
yeah,
Um, But anyway, when it comes to A-place trophies, man,
Oh yeah, man.
a man in an easy world will kill himself. They're like that's why the suicide rate is so high.
yeah.
A man who's living in a world without purpose, in a world that is easy, in a world that is just there's nothing for him to do, or he thinks that there's nothing for him to do because there's no external challenges that are just out there, he will kill himself.
Yeah.
Man without that purpose is he views himself as worthless to the world, which kind of he is, you know. And for me, my thing was okay. So I grew up extremely sheltered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Extremely. Now, my dad was extremely masculine. He was a player. He was an ace on his line for his frat. You know.
Yeah.
You know, he was top dog. He grew up in a house where his mom died when he was a junior in high school. What's it called? He didn't have a dad growing up. He grew up on the South Side Inglewood area, and yeah, so he had a really rough life.
Right.
That life compared to getting a woman, that life compared to everyday challenges there was no comparison.
Yeah.
Which is why when he talked to women, because even when I see my dad now just talking to women, he's just real cool because nothing can compare to the experience that he had. Now, me growing up, my dad did not want me to go through that. Obviously, cool. Great. However, I was still extremely sheltered because of that. And because I was sheltered, you know, I was in sports and everything, but I was sheltered in you know, with the mindset to go to school, get good grades, be the good boy, da 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 da. So when I'm 18 and have a hard time talking to women, my parents are trying to figure out why. It didn't dawn on me until I was like 23. I'm like, that's why. And something inside men spiritually wants us to have a challenge.
Yeah.
It wants us to figure out why we're supposed to be here and what we're supposed to be doing. And if we don't know, we need to be doing something. So my thing was, when I was a sophomore in college, I'm like, I just can't take being under someone else's house. I can't be happy with myself. I can't call myself a man inside if I'm living with my parents after I graduate. I just can't. So my thing was, I had to go against my parents for the first time, which was scary for any dude, you know. But yeah. So I told my father when I was a junior in college, I was like, hey, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm going to Asia. And I'm gonna teach because I just want to do something out, you know, just out of the country. I want to get as far away from y'all as possible, you know. So yeah.
Time zone switches.
I need to get as far away from all control as possible, because I need to know that I can survive on my own. Because one thing my parents told me when I was like 13 is that my father's biggest fear was if they passed away before I was 18, would I be able to survive? And I needed to show them, yes, I can, but I need to get away from you for that to be proven. So, which is true. Yeah, which is truly true. But yeah, so I did that, and my father, his first thing was, well, why can't you teach in America? A straight block, a straight wall up. Not because he didn't want me to go, but he was nervous, you know? And I get that. But I was just more so like, I got to go. So I had to prove it to him that I was ready to go. And in doing so, I took the test, got the certification, showed him, got the job, and then he believed in me. Because one thing that I've noticed about parents, especially parents Generation X era, is they'll say no, and you got to prove it to them.
Yeah.
And after you prove it to them, that's when they fully respect you.
Yeah.
And because one thing that we have to realize as children of our parents is that they lived their time already. We got to live ours. And the one thing holding us back isn't really our parents, though they can be a block sometimes. It's not them. We and this is where like masculinity comes in. We as men have to take 100% full responsibility for every action and inaction that we do or don't take. And this is what messed me up, and this is where my biggest mental scar came from.
Hmm.
So I go to China, have a good time, learn a lot, cool. Have some good mentors, it's great. Go to Thailand, wasn't really feeling it. Went to Malaysia, wasn't really feeling it. But great countries, cool for vacation, but not a way to make a lot of money.
Right.
Came to Japan, and there were some guys out here who I don't think they were bad people. However, they were definitely people who were great manipulators.
Right.
And because I was 22, 23 at the time, and they were in their 40s, I'm thinking, okay, I have some good mentors in China. Okay, let me follow these dudes because they seem pretty cool too. Not knowing that, I was being used for my naiveness. And also because before then I haven't really been through any challenges before. Stepping up to my parents saying that I want to go to China, cool, that's great and all, but I haven't really been in a challenge that really, really scared me, that really put fear into my heart to really shape who I am as a person. So it took 3 years for me to get manipulated, to really realize that I was being manipulated and be like, yo, I stopped. I stopped feeling sorry for myself. I stopped doing this and that, trying to make excuses for me not taking actions or me being inactive with certain things.
Right.
Because the only way someone will change is when they get tired of their own shit.
And that's and the thing is, like I said, is men are in a couple of CRU, naivety, and that comes with experience, right?
Right.
And that's because, and unlike you said before, like being like you say, quote unquote, being sheltered, or something like that, or being overly protected, right?
Yeah.
And we all as men, we go through the naivety, right? Like everybody goes through that, but for men, it's more dangerous because and I like to say this: the world doesn't care about men unless you're providing.
No.
Right?
I think Chris Rock said it best, man. Women and children are loved unconditionally. Men are only loved when we can provide something.
Exactly. I'm like, and I have no problem with that because that's the way the world works. Right? Like that's just nature in its own entity. And I hear a lot of men, especially in these spaces. You're not privy to it because you're not in those circles, and thank God you're not, because you probably throw up from hearing these guys sit up here for hours on end on these platforms, live streaming and complaining about something that happened to them back in their adolescence or their early youth or something like that, right? But you going to go through it. I went through it. Fortunately, I went through it when I was younger, and then I went through it a little bit more, what I'm saying, when I got older. But what I realized, and like you said, you got to get tired of feeling sorry for yourself. And then you learn from your actions and your mistakes. But what the most telling thing is that you took the risk, right? You took the risk of basically sinking or swimming, right? Cutting the lifeline, getting out of your parents' house, getting out of the basement, or whatever you want to call it, right? And challenging the environment, and you put yourself in a place where you only had yourself to rely on, even though your parents were there like, hey, if you need to come home, we got you, like that, because if you try something and you fail, long as you try, right, and long as you went about it and you learn from your mistakes, and that comes from everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, just the environment itself. You're going to another country where they're in Asia, their English speaking is not as good as being in Europe, right? Where
Right.
they teach the English language and the speaking in tandem with their own native tongue. So it's easier to move around and do things in Europe than it is in Asia. Asia's like, man, you know, you gotta. It's a whole different culture with how they do things and seniority and stuff like that. And even if you're right, you're wrong because they're older than you, and then it's not your country, and they'll let you know that. And then you're putting yourself in a thing where you're an immigrant, right? You got to have an immigrant mindset when you move.
Right.
So for you to challenge the environment in a sink or swim method, it's no different than when they would take the young warrior of coming of age if they taught him everything and basically, hey, here's your spear, right? Here's your flint, here's your bow, here's your arrows that you made yourself. Here's your knife or your cutlass. In the islands of Haiti, you get a machete, and you just gonna go out. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna go out in this forest, and we'll see you in a week. Figure it
Yep.
out, right? You ain't taking nothing with you. You got your little bamboo thing and your thing for your water, and everything we taught you better put that to work. And this is your passage of manhood, challenging the environment. If you can take care of yourself, then you can protect someone else. If you cannot
Right.
take care of yourself, then you can't protect anybody else. In the Western world, men are able to go out and procreate, but they can't even take care of themselves, right? Let alone take care of another life or two lives that's in tandem with that. And a lot of these men, they're not understanding, because here's the thing about women that I've realized, right? At the end of the day, when women get to a certain age and men get to a certain age, even if they make a mistake and they have a kid at a younger age of women or something like that, is they are seeking someone that can provide. A woman can smell innately if you can't provide. You can do all the shim shamming and lying and all of that other stuff, but it's not going to it's not going to mean a hill of beans. And a lot of these men, like you said, they don't have a purpose because they weren't taught, or they didn't put themselves in that situation, right? Where it's sink or swim back against the wall, right?
Right.
Doing something to challenge the environment, or putting yourself in a place where you have to challenge the environment, right? I get a lot of conversations with guys, and they talking about, well, why they want the bad boys, why the women don't want the nice guys. Well, the bad boy is challenging the environment, whether it's functional or dysfunctional. He is making an effort to challenge the environment, right? He is putting himself on the line to do that.
Definitely. I want to speak on that real quick, man, because that's I think, like, dealing with women in terms of dating, we are the only species. We are the only mammal species where the masculine version of the species is scared to talk to the female version of the species. I ain't never seen no lion scared to roll up on a female.
No.
I ain't never seen no male a dolphin scared to swim up to a female dolphin. I ain't never seen a documentary where a male swam up swam to a female and then swam away. I never seen that shit before, and because they know for fact, the woman is looking for protection, guidance, and that masculine presence to give her life even more meaning and more purpose to possibly turn her into a mother.
Right.
No. And talking to women, yes, it's a challenge. It is a challenge because women by nature live in some kind of fear, because back in the day they could just be snatched up and prisoners of war and raped and killed easily. It's all evolutionary, you know?
Yeah.
So I get why they're always nervous and scared of dating someone new. It's just, because there's like their survival kind of depends on their fear of their environment. But at the same time, though, as guys, we should not be scared to talk to a female ever. And the reason why men of the past and bad boys throughout history were never scared, because they've been through something worse than talking to a woman.
Yeah.
Yes. Men don't like rejection. Yes. Most men at some point have that approach anxiety. Okay, cool. You see a girl who's extremely hot, yeah, you might have that approach anxiety. At the same time, though, you know that talking to this woman is never going to be worse than having a gun to your head, or it's never going to be worse than being broke to the point where you're living out in the cold, or worse than any of those situations. So talking to that woman is not really a challenge anymore compared to what else is out there.
Yeah.
It's
like, and the way men get that, you get that confidence, or you get that, like I said, you don't care about the rejection, because it comes back to you actually competing against other groups of men, right?
Right.
You have to. Competition breeds, like, why do you think the jocks always got a girl? Because they're competing against other groups of men. People don't realize that the reason why sports are in school is because it's a way of men getting out that aggression and frustration. It's a tribal thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have your cliques, you have this, that, and the third, but there's always a leader of the clique. There's always an alpha, there's a beta, there's a Charlie, and stuff like that. You don't want to be a delta, because then you'll be a derelict, right? You just be some dude over there in the corner somewhere. But you learn, a lot of men learn their approach to any situation by watching and observing other groups of men.
Exactly.
My sons, I have 3 sons, they don't have problems with women, right? Have I gave them conversation about it, but it was only after they were dealing with the women. I've never actually sit up here and told my son, well, this is how you talk to a woman, and this is how you do this. I have never did that. You know why? Because they see the interaction between me and their mom. They see my male friends that come over, they'll listen to what we're talking about, and they'll just observe how their father operates and how he moves, what he does, what is the way he moves, and the respect I get in the community, and people know me. So a lot of times, and this is the crazy part, a lot of times my sons have never had to initiate the interaction between them and women. The women would just naturally come up to them and start talking. And they wouldn't, play any little, the games and stuff like that, but they would literally just have regular conversation. And that's one thing I did tell them. I said, man, just have a conversation. Just have a straight up conversation.
Man, if you would do it, you can have a conversation, a really good, engaging conversation with the woman. Easy, man.
It's not hard, but at the same time, you have to be about something. You have to literally be about something. Men that are focused on the task at hand, about bettering themselves, conquering the environment, getting what they need, not for anyone else, but getting what they need and putting that first, do not have a problem with women, It's the men that are getting what they need so they can get the women that have that problem. Because, okay, I got the car, I got this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Entertainment business, you know how many times I done seen guys that got money. I'm talking about rich millionaires, right? And they're sitting in the club, they're sitting in the VIP, and I'm there with them, you know, because they do the VIP reservation, and they're asking me, "Hey man, can you get that girl for me? Like right there, she's looking over here." But you know, I'm like, dude,
Just
okay,
roll up, man.
if I bring her over here, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Right? I'm sitting up there spending time talking, and then the chick thinks I'm talking to her, and I'm saying, no, she want to talk to you, and the dude is just totally turning her off. But the fact that he got money, you know, is all. Listen, I done seen dudes with confidence broke pull some wonderful females, right? And you know,
That's
and
all you really need, man. That's all you need, dude. Like that's all. Like, cause one thing I was taught, there's the alpha male. Well, there's the successful alpha, and then there's the failure alpha.
yeah, well, we call those alphas. We call them hobosexuals.
Hobosexual.
Yeah, that's the word for them. Hobosexuals. You know the guy. You know, you know what I mean. The chick's in the house and the TV's on HDMI 1. You know, he got calluses on his thumbs. He's sitting up there all day. He ain't about nothing.
Right.
He working a job overtime to take care of the hobosexual, right? But he's got confidence and he's preying on her, you know what I mean, on her self-confidence that she doesn't have that much, and she doesn't know it. And that's when you get into this whole dynamic of abuse and emotional abuse and all this other stuff. And she's just happy, you know, and they go out and seek the women they know they're going to get, right? They know what they're doing. They're preying on the wrong they're playing on women, because a woman with confidence would never be able to be in those shoes, or in that situation. And that's what I'm saying, is that the problem nowadays is that men are not challenging the environment, but because of what's going on now, it's a reset. It's a reset right now. Everything, like, you've noticed that that whole feminism thing and that Me Too stuff is getting a kibosh put on it, right? Like you
Right.
don't hear it as much, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? The whole Me Too thing was running rampant now. You know, you don't hear a lot about the feminism stuff. You don't hear about the words toxic masculinity being thrown around, right? Because, you know, a lot of men have to still go out into the environment and conquer it, right? You know, there's a pandemic going on. So the men are going out, going to work, while the women are, they're in the house, right? Because
Right.
it's the best place for them to be, to protect them, because they got to take care of the kids. You see a lot of men out shopping, going to the grocery store, you know, so they don't expose their significant other to that, right? Like, you know,
Right.
I'm going to brave the environment. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. You know, I was talking to some women in the back caves, and they were basically saying, you should have saw these men out there. The neighborhood hasn't looked this good in years, because the men, you know, because they couldn't go to work because of the lock-in, they're out there fixing the house, cutting the grass, going to the hardware store. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're getting together as men, you know, with their beers in their hand, and you know, grunting, and you know, men are helping each other. You know, they got out there with their sons, and they're teaching their sons things. So in hindsight, it's terrible that it takes a tragedy for the world to appreciate men, because at the end of the day, you're going to need them, right? Just like we need women to build nations and things of that nature. Men are needed to protect, provide, and build. Like, that's just what it is. And if you're a man walking around and you don't know what your purpose is, maybe you have overestimated what your purpose really is. You know, you need to find something and take pride in that thing that you're doing, right? We were doing, we do these things with the esteemed brother Cerulean. We do these things called movie night, right? We do it on Twitch. We watch the whole movie because you can't do that on YouTube. But we watch the whole movie, and what we do intermittently in the movie, we'll pause it and point out some things. We did Come Into America, right? And Eddie Murphy was playing Prince Hakeem, and the love interest. She said, "I have never seen a man take so much pride in mopping a floor." Right? And he's a prince. He don't have to do it, but he's doing it for the simple fact of the matter. But he's showing pride in everything that he does.
Right.
He's showing pride in everything that he does for the simple fact of that's what he needs to do. Right? That's his job. And you do your job to the best of your ability, and you don't half step. And because, like I said, because of these participation trophies that are given out, a lot of men are getting this thing in this newer generation. It's that I'm supposed to get this, right? Just because you go to college doesn't mean you're supposed to get the best job. They've locked.
I think what was it? It was called the opportunity of what's called opportunity of outcome.
Yeah.
The opportunity outcome. I believe everyone should have a chance to fight for the opportunity, but it shouldn't just be given just because you're here. That's why even in school they have A+, A, and A-. Yeah. How well did you do? How well did you study? Because I don't want the doctor that got an A just because he was in college. No. I want the one who actually knows his shit. Yeah, man, like that, and it just goes back to the whole like A-place trophies, man. When we're living in a world, dude, where the parents are being super soft on these kids, right? And then when the kids grow up, the parents are berating the kids for not being as strong mentally, physically, and emotionally as they would like them to be. I'm like, yo, you raised us. Yeah. You raised us. So now that we know that you are the problem, let us take the responsibility for recognizing that, and now take full responsibility for changing our lives based on what we know they should be.
Exactly.
Because I hate the fact that that a lot of parents from the boomer generation and also Generation X, a lot of them like to shit on the millennials. And I'm like, okay, yes, I would agree. A lot of us men are weaker than the past generations. A lot of us men don't know how to talk to women. A lot of us men are pretty fucking shitty when it comes to being men. I get that. But where were you in that process? So my thing is, if we gotta take responsibility, then you do as well. So me, like, a big reason why I'm getting happier and happier over the years is strictly because I'm not looking, I'm not expecting, I don't want anyone to give me anything for free because I know how weak that made me as a man before. Even when my parents came to Japan, they were like, hey, is everything okay? Because you don't seem too well. Is everything okay? In my heart, I want to be like, yes, take me home, take me away from all this stuff, just bring me back. Yeah. At the same time, though, my inner core was like, tell them no, tell them that you are okay because you still got to fight this thing out for yourself. Because if you run, you're going to run from everything. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I told him I was all right. I know they didn't believe it, but I told him I was all right. And I eventually fought myself out of the situation, Yeah. And I had a one-on-one with my parents that, just saying, thank you for everything that you did. Thank you for all the help and love and all that stuff that y'all gave me. But I don't want a single dollar from you. If you offer, of course I'm taking, you know, but I'm never going to ask money from you. I'm never going to do it because I need you to know that I'm trying my hardest to make sure that I live on my own 2 feet. Now, if you see me struggling in the ocean with like the last 2 inches of my nostrils breathing for air, yes, get my ass out, you know. but
like
yeah, but until that point, let me sink. Please let me sink. Because I need to know that I can swim in this ocean.
and
yeah, go ahead.
And that's another key right there, right? A lot of times, we get to a point where there's my grandfather told me something, and he said, "Son, it's okay to ask for help." Right? A lot of times, men, with our pride, we get to a point where you go down with the ship, right? But he said it's okay to ask for help, but do not ask for help more in which you can pay back. And he went further and said, okay, he said, let's say you got a problem, right? He said just a financial problem. He said because the only thing that's with you from the day you're born or whatever is taxes, right? So let's just say you have a problem and you need to get somewhere, right? You got to get somewhere and you got to get there, but you don't got the money in your pocket, right?
Right.
And I was like, okay. And he was like, now, how much does it cost you? And this, this back in the 80s, said, how much does it cost you to get to that place? I said, $1.50. Okay. It's $1.50 to get to that place. How much is it's going to cost you? $3 to get, it's going to cost you $3 to get back, right? Round trip. Say, yeah. He's like, now, how much money do you have in your pocket? He said, you probably got $5 in your pocket. Now, you're going to need to eat something while you're there. Let's just say you're going to work. So how much do you ask for? I was like, I'm not sure. He said, well, you got $5. It's going to cost you $3 to get there. It's going to cost you $2. You got to eat. You're not going to be able to eat with $2. So you ask for $3. You can pay that back easily. So you ask for the minimal help possible to get you past that situation that you're in. Just the minimum possible, if you have to ask for help at all. He said, but I'm going to tell you, if you need to get to work so you won't have to ask for help, you walk your butt to work and you take the bus back.
Right.
That way you can eat while you're there and you can get back. Because you're going to be too tired from working all day to walk back, and it's not safe because it's going to be nighttime. Right. He said that's how you need to move as a man. You need to use the minimal as possible to minimize your situation, right? And that's a lot of times where asking for help, like in your situation, I understand, right? You don't want to ask for stuff because then you're putting yourself in a bind, or you're going back to that lifestyle because then you're indebted to somebody and you got to do it. But sometimes we got to do a reset, right? Sometimes the environment is a little bit too much for us at that stage. You play a video game and you make a left turn in the wrong place and you're fighting the enemy that's level 99. And you just level 5, right? So sometimes we do need a reset, and having family and friends and stuff like that to lean on is good. But as a man, you have to exhaust all resources possible before you ask for that help. And when you ask for that help, it's the minimum requirements.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, man. Yeah, I just think the number one thing is that turned me into a person now. Like my father always said, a man's hardest thing is to live until he's 30. And he said that because until you're 30, and I just turned 29, so I don't know yet. But he said until you turn 30, you're going to struggle with who you are. You're going to struggle with the world. You're going to struggle with trying to find out who's who you can trust. Going through past mistakes, being yourself up, not being able to trust yourself or other people. But hopefully, by the time you turn 30, you realize a few things, such as one, you gotta trust yourself, even if everyone says that you're wrong, and you know in your heart that you're right. You gotta trust yourself. Because even if you are wrong, people will end up respecting you for at least sticking with your guns. Yeah. And another one is just everything is just not about you.
That is fact.
And I feel like because even to this point, I can still say that I'm still a little bit selfish. That's why I really don't want to get married. So yeah, but
I'm with you. Like if you listen, and I say this to a lot of guys, like married, this thing, until you figure out what you're going to do, with yourself, right? You don't really get into your stride, with stuff until you're like 28, about 27, you start to hit it, but you really don't get into your stride between 28 and probably about 30, 34, 35, right? As a man. Right? As a man. You know what I'm saying? Poetic Kels, good morning, sis. How you doing? Hold on, let me get these shout outs real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
True Reality, thanks for stopping by. Mr. DJ Music, greetings, Supreme Elder. Jay Sean came by. Charles Bellamy. Hey, man, we got to talk about these sports and stuff, man.
Man, the NBA going down there to the CCP, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly.
Man.
But you don't really get into your stride, you know what I'm saying? Like, until you get to that point. And then if you use your youth wisely, when you get about, like Cruz said, when you get about like 37, that's where you really want to, you're talking about legacy, right? And what people don't understand, marriage for men is about leaving your legacy and building your wealth for the next generation, right? Being the patriarch of whatever you're getting into, right? And that's something like, when I hit like 35, I'm looking like, man, what am I going to do? Like, for the latter half of the life, like, got my kids and stuff, but I was like, man, I need to like I hate going to work and being somewhere, and I know I'm smarter than the people that's here, and it's not about the pay, right? And that's a misnomer, because I'm the type of person, if I'm going to work, right, for someone, if I make my own business and I can make the same amount of money that I'm making working for somebody else, I can't blame them, right? Or I don't have to rely on them for my for my promotions or my accolades, because it's my thing. Not everybody's built to run their own business. I'm just going to say it straight up. It's a lot of things that go into it, and then you got to put in a lot of work. You got to be really disciplined. I got a friend, he built this business. He didn't go on a vacation for 5 years. Period. End of story. He didn't go on a vacation for 5 years. Right. And I, saying, he asked me to help him out, and saying, we helped him out while he went on like a 3 to 4 day vacation with his family. But I would just say this to you, I would not rush that point, because you have to, the worst thing that I've seen a lot of guys do is they got married for society's sake, right?
Right.
The look of it. And they didn't marry the right person that was going to be there with them to understand that what they're trying to build something, or they're trying to get to what they're trying to build. They wasn't helping with that. And people don't understand that marriage is the building of wealth. Marriage has nothing really to do with that thing you call love, right? Because if it did, then there wouldn't be divorces and people taking half.
I highly agree with that one, because I've been looking, because I love that we're living in the information age, and you have all these older guys telling the younger dudes what to look out for. Take life slow, because as a man you have time.
Yeah.
And what they say is that a man's like sexual peak in terms of his sexual attractiveness toward women, that doesn't really, I mean, if you've just been a player all your life, then it could be from age 16. But for most guys, it's from the age of, maybe late 20s, early 30s, up until your 50s. That's when the real, that's where your real, attraction for women starts, because now you've got to the point where you were able to build something. You got some wealth to you. You have enough life experience to where you know how men operate, how women operate, and now you can actually take all that experience and use it to your advantage in terms of your conversation, your exchanges, negotiation, all that stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah, and one of my homeboys said, yeah, men, we don't get married for love. Now, hopefully you do truly love the woman that you're with, but that's not the reason. Marriage wasn't even really meant for love in the first place. It started off arranged,
Yeah.
Yeah, marriage was really to build families together, to build the whole wealth of the whole, community. And a man and woman had to work it out. They just didn't get divorced. Like, you had societal pressure and societal, support, making sure that y'all, worked it out. And that's why marriages lasted so long in the past. But now it's like marriage isn't really real. But also because back in the day, marriage was really the only way men got constant sex, So women stayed virgins until they got married, because the fathers knew how women operate when they have too many partners and stuff. And yeah, like, and that's why in every religion, even like, that's, women like that are still viewed as sacred and all this stuff. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but fathers back in the day were a lot more diligent over their daughters than they are now, as in terms of being general. But yeah, like, I'm not trying to rush anything right now, because if that's truly the case, where the attractiveness really comes in your later years, ain't no rush, man. Ain't no rush, dude. Because I've seen too many of my friends get into relationships and marriages either because their parents wanted them to, society thought it was a good idea, or because the women wanted to and they wanted to make the woman happy. I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that you gotta make yourself happy first. Like make yourself happy first, because you might make the woman happy at the beginning, but if you don't speak up for yourself, and if you don't make decisions based on your own happiness, that's what being the nice guy comes in. That's why women don't like nice guys, because this is how they be acting. You want to make people happy, so you do something, or you act on something that you really don't want to, but you act on something because you think it will make them happy, which it will in the short term. But then once they start treating you a certain way based on your actions, you get mad at them, even though you allowed it.
Right.
And because you allowed it, you get mad at them. They're confused, because even though they might be treating you like crap, they might be treating you nice, but however they're treating you, you allowed that. And you get mad at them all of a sudden out the blue because you were being passive. And now they're all confused, like, oh my God, where did this shit come from? And now they don't trust you, because now they're like, okay, this dude can snap at any time and he's not telling me nothing.
Yeah.
because a nice guy is on the same coin as being an asshole. You know,
That's
they say. I mean, a lot of men hate the fact that women like bad boys, but the thing about bad boys over the nice guy is that even though they might be bad, they may not be good for the women long term. They have that confidence and they say what's on their mind, which is a lot better than being passive and then snapping on someone out of nowhere.
that's true. It's
Nice guys don't take responsibility for their actions, and that's what's scary. A man who does not take responsibility is scarier than a man who's upfront and tells you that he's an asshole. You know?
That's true. Like it's like you know, I remember my uncle's parents, well, his grandparents, they raised him, and they were like, you know, they were living with my uncle because they got elderly. So when he built, they brought another house. They built their own like kind of like apartment house on as an extension, right? And they sold their house down in South Carolina. And he's, you know, he was 82 years old at the time, right? He was a drill sergeant in World War II. And his wife, and I call her my grandparents and stuff like that. Grandma, she was 70, right? So he was 20. They got married when she was like 15. You know, that's back in the day. You could do that.
Right.
But they were married for 50 years, and she would still try him. Right. And I asked my grandpa, and I heard him one day, right? He said something to him. And I asked Grandpa, I said, Grandpa, y'all been married for 50 years. Like, why is she trying you? He said she's supposed to try me. That's her job to do it. She's not trying me because she's getting over. She's just trying to see, am I the same guy that she married 50 years ago, her protector and the person that provides, right? And even in marriage and stuff like that, you know, and being married, you know, marriage is work. It's not. This ain't the Cosby Show, right? This ain't the Fresh Prince. This ain't Uncle Vivian. This ain't the Jeffersons. This ain't, you know, this ain't Good Times, right? Marriage is work. You got to put in work. You know, every day it's a new challenge. You got the environment, you got the household, you got the thing. And even when the kids leave, you still married, right? And if you see the divorce rate go up, you'll actually notice it's people that get divorced within the first 5 years, or they'll get divorced after their kids are grown and left the house, right? And it speaks volumes to that because, you know, you grow with the person you're with because you still got to be with that person, but it's work. And as a man, yeah, you compromise on some things, but at the same time, you have to stay firm on some stuff, right? You have to.
But women like that. Women like when you stay firm. Like, women enjoy that because they know, like, one, you broke it down to me. Women to a man is like a miniature version of the world.
Exactly.
If a woman can distract you, if a woman can bump you off your game, if her little shit test really mess with you, then she knows that as non-confrontational as she is compared to what the world really is like, she can't trust you in protecting her if she is able to if she's able to beat you down.
Exactly.
And that's where the whole AKA shit test come from, but they're doing that again for their own survival. They have to constantly make sure that you are the guy that you said you were, or that you are the guy that you acted like on that first date, or we all was younger, or whatever. Because situations can change men. Yeah. Things do happen. Mm-hmm. You know, there is stuff that happens to a man outside the eyes of the woman at that present moment.
Exactly.
So she needs to know, okay, based on how the world is changing now, is he still as firm? Is he still as strong? Is he still as calm and cool and collected in these stressful situations as he is in times of peace?
And
Because if he's not, I gotta dip.
you know, I was watching this thing with what's the football player who's a quarterback for the Chicago Bears, is Jay Cutler, and he got married to his wife. They got 3 kids together and stuff, and she's filing for a divorce. And she said the main part, first she said he was messing around, but that didn't happen. But she said the main reason is because he's lazy, right? And you know, the guy's not lazy. For you to make it to being a professional football player and
Right.
and a starting quarterback for 2 NFL teams, you're not lazy.
Right.
But he did his time, he made his money, he's got businesses that's making money, right? But what he wanted to do was he said, okay, I got this house or whatever, you're starting your business. You put your business on hold for me while I was out here, you know, doing whatever, you know. I want to be close to my kids, help raise my kids. So you go do your business and I'll take care of the kids and take care of the household. Now, the fact of the matter is that she saw him just chilling, right? You know, she thought that he was chilling because she's, you know, doing all this business stuff. But in actuality, you know, it's just that, you know, the dude's really laid back, but he can compartmentalize easy. You know, for you to learn a pro playbook, you better compartmentalize, right? You know, you got a 300-pound man running down on you, and you got to make these checks and throw this ball so you don't get hit to protect yourself. You know, that's a lot of compartmentalizing. So he understands the system. You know, men, once we get a system in place and it works, we sticking with it. Like it just, you know, we it's production, right? So what I realized and when I watched it, it's that she didn't marry the stay-at-home husband. She married the pro football player that was out conquering the environment. And the guy's like almost 40 and he's already retired, right? And I saw the comments, and I saw the comments, and a lot of women was like, I'll marry the dude. Like he's being a father, he's staying home, but they're seeing him after the fact. They're not seeing him. They weren't with him before the fact and seeing the drive and the motivation to now he's just on brakes. He's pumping brakes, right? And she didn't marry into that. Say what you will, but that abrupt change in environment. You know what I mean? Like he had a job where he could have been a sportscaster for one of the major sports news networks, and he didn't take it. Right? She took that as a thing. It's just like, well, maybe it's about the money. I was like, well, it wasn't about the money. It's just that she sees him unmotivated. Yeah, he's not motivated. She sees him unmotivated, right? And for that case, you know, it is what it is. But women are like that. You know, they want consistency, right?
Right. And this is, I think, as a dude, is we're very, very careful because that hypergamy is the motherfucker, man.
Oh yeah, hypergamy is a thing, is it? But it's always been there, right? And the reason why,
and I just don't like how men complain about it. It's a part of women that help them to protect themselves. Now, that's not really an excuse for women acting all crazy when they do, but
no, it's not.
You know why it's there, know why it exists, research it, we do whatever we got to do to understand it, but just accept that that is a part of life. Exactly. And that as a man, when you get with a woman, you need to be sure that she is okay with your terms of marriage if that's what you want to do. Because if she doesn't know you well enough to know that, okay, one day I'm playing football, when the time comes, I want to just chill, but we have money to support ourselves easy. I need to know that you're okay with that. Because if you ain't, that's cool, but I can't be with you.
Yeah.
And this is why it's very sorry, man. But this is why it's extremely important for guys to take their time getting married, man, because a rushed marriage, like there's very little incentive for a man to get married. Very little. For the kids, cool.
Yeah.
Companionship, not so much. You can get companionship without the marriage, you know. For sex, women giving it up left and right. You don't really need it for that. But in this day and age, definitely for children, if that's what you and whoever you're with want to do. And maybe for tax purposes, but if you got your money right, that doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, like there's not as much incentive for men to get married as it is for women.
Yeah, and that's been, but that's and like I said before, that's all about men setting the policies forth, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's what we're here to do for some reason, man. I think it's because it's an asshole maybe in society, but man, it's like, from my experience, being an asshole is much more better long term than being a nice dude, man.
Yeah, I'm like, it is. And there's like, if you're in the corporate world or you're doing business and stuff like that, right? When you get to a certain age as a man, a lot of times, like, I didn't realize it until I was told by my mentors, is that a lot of deals I got compared to the other guy is because I was married. Right. I was married. And that means stability. That means I have something to provide for, so I'm less likely to cut and run out of a deal. Right? Because if you can be married, which is the ultimate deal, right? Then you'll be able to handle this business for a 2 to 3 year contract or 5-year contract. And in certain cases, right? So yeah, there comes a time, if you're a man, if you're not getting that promotion and you're dotting every I, crossing every T, outperforming, and you look at yourself and you're like 35, is because you're not married. Like, if you look at all the leaders in the free, like in the Western world, they're married. Look at all the presidents and CEOs and stuff like that. It's very seldom you'll find a billionaire, somebody like that, or a millionaire, or CEO of a company, or a CFO, or vice president, or whatever, that's not married. Now, that doesn't, even in Hollywood, if you look at these actors and actresses, when they get to a certain age, they get married. They get married to another actor or actresses for a reason, right? Because it looks good in the public eye, publicity-wise, right? If you look at Justin Bieber, he's married, but why? Well, if you're married,
you don't love that shit.
yeah. Like, if you notice once he got married, his whole public image changed.
Right.
But he calmed down, because when you're married, you can't be running around here doing all this foolishness and buffoonery. And then the other thing is that, if you're out there doing this buffoonery, she's gonna take half. Right?
Right.
So, so it's a lot of things where, for men, it has to be cost effective and it has to serve a purpose. For women, their purpose is they have a short time span. Right? And what I mean the short time span is, can a woman have kids over 35? Yes, she can. But what I taught the Classic Ruby, we was talking, and if you're a woman having a kid over 35, they call it a geriatric pregnancy. She told me the term. That's what, like, doctors say is a geriatric pregnancy, because you're at higher risk of having complications. So a woman's prime is between 24 and 32. And the reason why they say that is because, a woman got to go through a lot of physical changes, hormone changes when they're having children, and for their body to rebound out of that. And then the thing of actually raising your children to have enough energy to do so. I look now, I'm like, I got two sons that are grown, and then I have the third son, the youngest. He's like 2 years away from being grown, right? So I'm looking at the back end of my life. I'm like, I'm good. When I'm seeing, in Japan they have kids late. When I'm walking around, I'm seeing like a 35-year-old woman walking around with a 7-year-old. I'm like, you can miss me with that. Like,
Yeah, man.
oh, bruh, I'm good with that. So with that being said, is that men can have kids all the way up until 60. So
Yeah.
it's not really a rush. It's just that when you get to a certain age and you decide to have kids, you're going to have to marry a woman that's 5 years younger than you. Or in certain cases, if you're 40, you're going to have to catch a woman that's like 30.
Yeah. I mean, like my homeboy, he was what, 30, 39, 38, 39?
Yeah.
Man, he was like 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you don't have to marry young if you're going to wait that long to have kids. Like it's one of those. It's just one of those things, and that's that thing in nature, right? Where the world cares about women and children, but at the same time, men don't provide, but men can have kids in the later back end of their life, but women have this window of their prime. They're going to have kids, and they're going out seeking that environment so they can nest in it, right? Now, if you're not prepared to provide that environment, you got to make that decision with yourself and take the precautions necessary so you don't be in a situation where you got to deal with somebody for the rest of their life, right? You have kids, you got to deal with them. Life in prison is 20 years. Well, yeah, that's a prison bed, right? You know what I'm saying? So, what I usually tell men, I say, look, man, don't rush to get married, man. You can get married at 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, whatever. What you need to do is you need to get out there, you need to try things, you need to conquer the environment, see the world for what it is for as much as possible. And then and if you're lucky enough to run into somebody in your youth, like 25, or something like that, and you decide, hey, it's time to get married or whatever, all right, cool. But I wouldn't suggest, especially in this day and age, you shouldn't be thinking about getting married until you're about 32, 34.
Honestly, when I think about marriage, man, it makes my stomach sick, man. It's just like this possible freedom's taken away. Oh God, man. Oh no. No. Yeah, but no, because that's one of the big reasons I left the States in the first place was to get my freedom back. I'm like, I ain't trying to run from from capture and then get captured again.
Yeah, like if you're not set, like if you're still trying to figure out life, if you're still got goals and aspirations and stuff, and I tell people, like, some people ain't built for marriage at all. Like, they're not built for marriage at all. Like, some people, that's not their thing, especially some men. If you're honest with yourself and you're not built for it, just be abundantly that. Like if you're with a woman and you can tell, right? You can tell, like, because a woman will be straight up with you, right? She will tell you, like, if you're on date number 4 and y'all just talking about, hey, when you see yourself in 5 years, well, I like to get married in 2 or 3, and like stuff like that. And if you ain't even thinking about that, you need to make that abundantly clear. Hey, look, check this out. I ain't even looking at marriage right now. That's not even a thing. Like, if it happens, yeah, but I'm not. Marriage is off the table. So you're not wasting her time, your time, and you're not getting in one of those entrapment things, right? So you need to basically find yourself, do what you need to do, and move forward. And I tell a lot of guys, like, if I didn't meet my wife when I met my wife and stuff like that didn't happen, I told my wife, marriage, huh? What? No. Ain't happening. You know what I mean? But fortunately, I met my wife when I met my wife, and you're right. There's there's nothing in it for men um below the age I say of 30, 32 or between 32. There's no incentive for men to get married under the age of 32 in the westernized world, right?
Right, right.
Asia and other countries, it's way different because it's
Culture's
usually
different.
like, I got Indian friends where at 14 they already know who they get married to because
Right.
it's already set up because it's about wealth. And people don't understand is that marriage is a contract it's about building wealth generationally,
No,
right?
because back in the day, they would have arranged marriages, but then they would allow the men to have concubines and shit because men still needed to have sex.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
the arranged marriage was for the family to build wealth and the joining of the family's wealth. You know what I'm saying? And the
right.
concubine was, and people don't really understand like the concubine or the mistress or whatever, and it still happens today in certain countries. Is actually the first mistress is actually chosen by the woman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one she's chosen by the woman. The second one, if you make that enough money, right? The second one is chosen by the man. But here's the problem: dealing with one woman is enough. Dealing with multiple, man, that's too much stress, man. Like, shoot, even when I was single and stuff, like I did that whole okay, I got a girl over here, girl over there. I stopped that. You know what I did? I said, look, man, we all friends here. Look, check this out. Look, I signed up for the professional side dude application. It was way easy. It was way easier because it's like I can come and go as I please. Like, when well, why are you talking to her? No, we ain't together. We just kicking it, right? You know what I'm saying? And that reality check hit and stuff like that. But I would tell men, be responsible with your seed because then you're gonna be sitting up here whining about child support, right?
Right,
So
right.
you know what I mean. Be responsible, but focus on yourself. Focus on building your legacy. Focus on getting done what you want to do. Like Jay Sean says, what I'm saying, be about your business. You know what I'm saying? Um, and
Um,
and and everything will fall into place. As
man, men chase championships and women chase champions, man.
exactly. They do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm giving Joe the last 2 minutes for final words because I
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to
That's a good way
like
to wrap
90
it up.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah, man. I got nothing else to say. Just I would say if you're a dude out there and you are having a hard time in this world, it's strictly because you're living in a country or in a area that's already been built. So you got to work on your own goals. The best way to do that is to do something that puts you out of your comfort zone completely, not a little bit, completely. If you're scared of heights, go skydiving and do the most extreme shit that you can. That's not going to kill you.
yeah.
Go skydiving. You're scared to talk to a girl, even if you look stupid, talk to her. Even if you fail, you tried and you can keep your dignity with that.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can that's uncomfortable, but that's going to put you straight in the face of your fear because that's going to give you a scar or that's going to give you an edge. Men need an edge because that's what helps us give us confidence. Our confidence level is what helps us get to where we want to go in life. It helps get us the women that we want, and it helps it's a reward for the work that we put in to make ourselves a better person throughout our journey on this planet. D, that's all I gotta say, dude.
All right, hey man, that's perfect, man. Like, thank everybody for coming by. No one's gonna beg you to be great. I always like to say that. Thank Joe. Joe called for this stream. So what I'm saying, glad to oblige. Just these talking panels. I like to just use the stream yards because it's a little bit easier. The 1/3 show will be sometime next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, 9:30 Central Standard Time. That's when I pull up something and we do all this presentation. I know y'all used to seeing the Streamlabs presentation. That's a lot of work, y'all. That is a lot of work. But just these talking heads panels and stuff. If y'all like to join the panels, is just open for people to join. If you wanted to get up here and say a few things, I'll give you the link in the back cave. But yeah, subscribe to Joe's channel. Joe, if you got your channel, drop the link in the chat right there. And like, comment, share, subscribe. If y'all have anything that y'all would like to add to this, feel free to go ahead in the comment section after the stream is over. I'd like to thank Joe for stopping by, giving his thing. We got to do more of these. Joe's been going off on Facebook with a lot of these debunking and making people think with these conspiracy theories and this fear mongering that people got going on. So yeah, we definitely got to do this again. To everybody else, Jay Sean Randoms, thanks for coming through. CRU Reality, Poetic Kells, thanks for stopping by. This Supreme Elder, DJ Music, Charles Bellamy, thanks for coming through. Mad, thanks for coming through. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, y'all have a wonderful morning if you're in the US. Right now it is 5 minutes to 10. And we're going to have a good night over here and be great people.
Peace.